Hey everyone, this is Dale Stiles, and this is my week one video discussion, question, and commentary. So, I was reading through the different readings, and I decided to go with the Open TV over here in the introduction and the value of open development. And they talk a lot about traditional TV, indie TV, and some other things. And it talks about the Open TV marketplace. Values creative producers first, who then inspire fans and sponsors to support new projects. So what essentially happens is the brand, somewhere down the middle of the page here, gets the audiences they value more than the network, but the network also has some say so. And they kind of go back and forth and work together, where the network says, I have this, are you interested in it? The brand may say, well, I'm more interested in something like this because it's going to, target our audience a little better. And they'll go back and forth and figure out what is going to benefit both, and then they handshake and they're done. But the indie TV producers focused on maximizing creative value, while legacy TV networks valued advertising volume and price, and both are threatened by digital distribution. So now I'm thinking about YouTube and things of that nature. While I was in the Navy on a ship, stuck in the middle of the ocean, we had movies that were sent to us, and we had TV shows that were sent to us, and you could watch any variety of different channels, but then you're kind of stuck with what the majority wants to watch. So if everybody wants to watch the same movie 25 times in a row, then I'm stuck watching the same movie 25 times in a row, or I go to the various libraries in the different berthing compartments around the ship, and I find a book, and I go sit down and read that. So that's what I found myself doing to get away from all the noise. And then you can't hear the TV because everybody's yelling, screaming, laughing, have their own little conversation when, the movie's playing. Not my cup of tea. So at any rate, so this kind of reminded me of a couple of different things. And it, I don't think he mentions it, but it reminds me of the Kendrick brothers, who did Facing the Giants. And I don't think they did this for a specific product. It wasn't a brand they were trying to sell. They were trying to sell an idea. They were trying to sell a sermon. They were trying to sell, compassion. They were trying to sell basically a sermon in movie form so that it drove the idea home, where some people probably wouldn't sit through a 2-hour sermon without doodling on the little, handout they give you, doodle, and yeah, I took my notes, and oh man, I'm hungry, and is this guy done yet? And now they're sitting there with the popcorn and their soda, and they're watching this movie, and they're capturing not only the story of compassion, the story of overcoming, facing your giants, and getting over, but also the scriptures that go with it. Cool stuff. So they created value, and these were not actors. These were just people that went to that church in Georgia. They were nobody, you and me. I mean, some of y'all may have some fame, but I don't. So they were just normal people, and they became famous. They created value for themselves. They created value for their own brand. They got the message across that they wanted to get across. And I can't find what I'm looking for right now, but at any rate, they created something. And it was outside of Hollywood. It was outside of what you would typically, consider to be indie. They did their own thing and were very successful. They had a couple before that were successful in a local area, but when they did Facing the Giants, they became well known in a big area. So, and that's what I look for when I click around on YouTube and other platforms. I'm more looking at sermons and messages and self-improvement kind of things. There's not a whole lot I can learn, um, but there's a lot that I can take away from a lot of things, and I love learning old things in new ways. It's kind of like a new pair of eyes on a particular subject. So, and that's what I typically consume. So I'm just curious. My question would be, where do you spend most of your media consumption time? Do you do that mostly on YouTube, or is it more on a streaming service like Hulu or YouTube TV or some of the other ones, or do you have the traditional cable and flip the channels and you have your certain section of shows that you watch all the time? Let me know down in the comments, and I'll see you then.